It's 4 o'clock on the East Coast. Markets have just closed, and are they rattled about the shutdown? Nope, they aren't fazed at all. Seconds ago, they closed up. But what about you? Should you worry? Probably. How much? Majority Leader Steve Scalise, the number 2 in the House, will be here in moments and tell you what to expect. But first, Republicans and Democrats are fighting like cats and dogs. They're doing so much finger pointing that their fingers might fall off. For the past 2 days, lawmakers have been butting heads, but not negotiating, just butting heads. Earlier today, House Speaker Mike Johnson held a press conference with the Republican leadership.
How in the world could they blame the people here who have done our job and sent over a clean CR to keep the lights on? There is no gimmick. People say, why aren't you negotiating with Schumer and Jeffries? Because I quite literally have nothing to negotiate. There's nothing I can pull out of the bill that was a Republican priority to say, oh, we won't do that. Why don't you guys vote for it now? I don't have anything. I didn't put anything in it to send it over. I'm stunned. I'm stunned that they have decided to shut the government down and hurt people. We got to keep the government open for the people. I don't know why this is so complicated. And to my friend Hakeem, who I was asked about, man, just ignore it. I mean, Gavin Newsom was trolling me last night. He painted me like a minion. He painted me yellow with big glasses and overalls. And I thought it was hilarious. You don't respond to it.
99% of House Democrats voted to shut the government down. Led by their leader, Hakeem Jeffries, whipped their members to vote to shut the government down. And so they're running around this town right now doing podcasts and trying to be commentators. They're doing everything but being legislators.
There is a way to open the government today. Pass the clean Republican CR bill that we already passed. I mean, it's really, really simple. That's it. Just pass it, right? Goodness, Democrats have done this 13 times before, right? The same bill, 13 times before. It's really, really simple.
Moments ago, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries held a press conference of his own.
Donald Trump and Republicans have made clear they wanted to shut down the government. They want to inflict pain on the American people. They continue to engage in their retribution efforts, and they have zero interest, zero, in providing high-quality, affordable, and accessible care to everyday Americans.
Our government shutdown, as you might have guessed, is getting a lot of attention around the globe. Here are just a few headlines circling the globe. In the United Kingdom, The Telegraph writing, quote, Donald Trump is already winning a shutdown showdown. In Spain, the El País paper writing, quote, U.S. administration shuts down after Democrats' first real challenge to Trump. And in Australia, the Australian Broadcasting Network writing, quote, Aussie travelers devastated after U.S. government shutdown forces tourist attractions to close, end quote. Louisiana Congressman and House Majority Leader Steve Scalise joins me. Good evening, sir. And just so that I have this right, what the House passed, basically, when you call it a clean CR, it just means, sir, that just what they had before, you're going to keep until November 21st. It's basically like a continuance in court, is to give you until November 21st to work things out. Is that what this is?
That's exactly right, Greta. It's no changes, no new things, no taking out things that we don't like. It just keeps everything status quo till November 21st, so we have more time to negotiate our differences. And believe me, our differences are very wide between Republicans and Democrats, but you can see they have been hell-bent on getting funding, taxpayer funding for healthcare for illegal aliens, and that's why they shut the government down. Maxine Waters even confirmed that yesterday. So they have made it clear why they want to shut the government down because of things that are not in the bill that we voted on. 99% of Democrats voted to shut the government down in the House. That bill's in the Senate. They can vote today to open the government back up. If they don't like how Donald Trump is conducting a shutdown, look, the law going back to 1870 gives the President of the United States more power during a shutdown. That's the law that's been on the books for over 100 years. Democrats are voting to give Donald Trump more power, ironically. The same Democrats, Schumer, can vote to take that power away from Trump by voting to reopen the government, but he refuses because he wants a shutdown so he can fund illegals' health care. It's a non-starter, Greta.
I do not know the wisdom of fighting this by the Democrats, because it's just the status quo until November 21st. Then you can have a knockdown, drag-out fight. But as you noted, is that the president has got to take the amount of money that he has that's been appropriated and try to run the government for essential employees versus non-essential, and it opens a door for him to furlough people and even to fire people, eliminate jobs, which is what he and Elon Musk seemed to want to do in the beginning of the term with Doge. So now he just has the ability to eliminate those jobs and get what he believes to be the bloat. So it's almost as though the Democrats handed him a win.
Yeah, they did. I mean, this is insanity on Chuck Schumer's part, malpractice really on Chuck Schumer's part. You know, Schumer complains that he doesn't like the fact that Donald Trump was elected president. He's still angry, and his far left radical base, who he's trying to appease, is angry with the results of the election in November. And so what is their answer? To shut down the government and give Donald Trump more power. The law's been clear for over 100 years, even during the Obama shutdown in 2013. Obama got more power. During this shutdown, President Trump is the president. He gets more of the power of the purse to deem what's essential and what's not. The only way you take that power away is by reopening the government. And Chuck Schumer has that ability, if he votes yes on the Senate floor today, to do that.
Well, let's say hypothetically that he did decide to do that and that the CR is as is until November 21st. Can you tell me what the fight would be November 21st? Where would be the disagreement? What would happen then?
I mean, frankly, if you look at it, it's supposed to be, Greta, the 12 normal appropriations bills that fund government. The House Appropriations Committee has passed all 12 out of committee. The Senate's passed a lot of their bills out of committee as well. And so there are differences between the two. And normally you would have a negotiation over the differences between those bills with Republicans and Democrats. That was actually happening. And there is a conference committee. A lot of people really haven't seen a conference committee, but it's going on right now on those bills. And that all stops during a government shutdown. And so if Chuck Schumer votes to reopen the government, and then this tantrum that he's having, then we can get back to a negotiation on the differences on those bills and get normal government operations open again.
But in light of the schism between the Republicans and Democrats, even if it did get continued to November 21st, is that there'd probably be a shutdown on November 21st. I mean, there wouldn't. I don't know where the magic dust is to get the Republicans and the Democrats to agree on anything between now and then.
Yeah, they're going to have to drop this crazy demand that illegals should get health care for free. I mean, look, the American people don't want that. And if you look at what we did in the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, we put verifications in place to save taxpayer money from waste, fraud, and abuse. And there was hundreds of billions of dollars. Everybody knew it was going on in all parts of government. One of the areas was in verifying whether somebody's here legally. They're not supposed to be getting taxpayer-funded benefits on things like Medicaid. And yet, Biden had gotten rid of those verifications. We put them back in place so that illegals could not get free health care. They want to restore that. They want illegals to get taxpayer-funded benefits, and that's not where the country is.
Is that the only, I mean, is it just people who are undocumented illegal aliens, or are other American people by this who have health care through Obamacare, would they lose benefits as well?
There's differences on problems of Obamacare. Look, I mean, they called it the Affordable Care Act. Its prices are 80% higher for families today than when Obamacare passed. So it's not affordable, but that's a whole separate debate. And so, Greta, there are things that expire that Democrats, by the way, set to expire in December. That's not supposed to be part of the government funding debate. Government funding goes through September 30th. There are other things that expire in December that we can have separate debates on. The Democrats and Chuck Schumer are trying to bring those debates into this government shutdown debate and create another set of arguments. At the end of the day, stop holding hostages. If you want to have a debate on all of this stuff, whether it's government funding, our defense priorities, border security, or healthcare, we can debate all of those things, but not while the government shut down, not while Chuck Schumer is holding our military pay hostage, Greta.
Well, the Democrats say it's not just the funds for the people who are illegally here in the country, but that also they do want to extend the benefits for those who are American citizens here legally who will lose their benefits at the end of this calendar year.
It's primarily insurance companies that they want to bail out. The bill that they're talking about, these Obamacare tax premiums, those are subsidies that the Democrats put in place. And by the way, the Democrats set them up to expire. We didn't do that. Democrats set them to expire because they said they were temporary. So if they thought they should be needed forever, why didn't they create them to be forever? They set them up to expire, and they set up people that are making $1 million a year to get them. They did a lot of other things. That would be a $400 billion new set of spending, Greta. $400 billion in new spending. That's not where we need to be right now, is talking about spending hundreds of billions in new spending. Let's talk about getting spending under control, lowering premiums for families, which, by the way, when they bailed out the insurance companies, the Democrats, premiums went up for families, went higher. Why would we want to renew that and make families pay more for health insurance? So if we want to have a policy discussion about how to lower premiums for families, let's go. Not during a government shutdown, but it's not also about subsidizing hundreds of billions more to health insurance companies.
House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, thank you as always, sir.
Great being with you, Greta. Thanks.
Thank you. Republican Senator from the great state of Kansas and member of the Senate Budget and Finance Committees, Roger Marshall, joins me. Nice to see you, sir.
Greta, great to be with you.
Okay, so what's going on in your side of the hill?
Well, I think we're on day number 2 of the Schumer shutdown. This is a political shutdown driven by AOC, the Squad, and the liberal media.
Why do you say it's driven by her? She's over in the House. Is it because she's sort of breathing down his back and he's worried about that?
Yeah, all the above. So certainly he's worried about a primary, but I think the bigger picture, he's afraid that she's about to hijack the entire party. The liberal media has empowered her, the Squad, that on these talking points, and they're trying to pull their whole party hard to the left. And the only thing Chuck Schumer had left to do was to respond to that and shut the government down. So they've taken the hostage, as Congressman Scalise said, they've taken the hostage, these health care credits, these COVID-era subsidies, and now they're wanting him to shoot the hostage.
So you're saying that Senator Schumer's, what he's doing is not because this is his passion, his policy, and his commitment, but rather he has fear of his own political life.
You got it. And all you have to do is just go back to the decades of history of him saying how we should never shut the government down. That's very contrary to what he believes. Democrats wake up in the morning thinking about spending more money. We shut government down. It's very antithetical to what they want to be doing.
All right, tell me about AOC, and what's the discussion in the Senate about her? She's across the hill. I call her AOC, Congresswoman AOC, but what is her influence in the Senate?
Yeah, so I think it's none. Her name never comes up. No one ever says, well, what does AOC think about this? You know, you'll have thought leaders in different areas, but I think when we saw Nancy Pelosi bristle yesterday, I'm not sure if you saw how she reacted when a reporter asked her about her AOC's comments that the Senate should come over to her and negotiate this rather than with Hakeem or with Schumer. I think that all caught her eye, like, oh my gosh, this truly is political. It's about Chuck Schumer's political life. It's about the cannibalization of the Democrat Party by AOC and, again, that left-leaning liberal media.
But what business is it really of the House at this point? The House did its job, whether you like it or not. They passed a clean CR, which is just a postponement until November 21st. They passed it. It's now in your lap.
It's a great point, and that's why it's amazing to see Chuck Schumer cave to her. Look, what they're doing is they've taken this hostage of these COVID-era subsidies, and happy to dive into that. That's the hostage he's using as an excuse, but that is wrought with fraud. That this program of theirs, these COVID subsidies, grew from $50 billion a year to $150 billion a year, and we think a third of that is fraud, waste, and abuse. Not to mention, I have one more point here. The premiums are going up 20% this year. And so and the federal government is toting 90% of the bill right now. We should be talking about how to get those premiums down, and the Republicans have a plan.
Which is my question. You're the perfect person. You're a doctor. Yeah. You practiced medicine. What is wrong with our healthcare system? I mean, why can't, the Obamacare was an attempt, but that has not been a roaring success. Tell me what we should do.
Right. So actually, healthcare costs up 400% over the last couple of decades. So what the Obamacare did is it created overregulation, That led to consolidation of industries. So now every state has 2 or 3 insurance companies. They have 2 or 3 hospital systems in each community. We have pharmacy benefit managers, 3 of them controlling 90% of the drugs. So this overregulation has killed competition. And because of the lack of that, along with it, it's killed innovation. There's no transparency. Our signature bill this year is a price tags bill to force hospitals, surgery centers, imaging centers to show patients the price of things before they get them done. You'll see a difference of 4x between one facility and another.
But a lot of things, I mean, like, a lot of things really aren't by choice, a lot of medical things. I mean, you got high blood pressure, you want to be able to afford your medicine. I realize that President Trump is working on that with the recent thing with the executive order. But people, you know, they do have medical problems, and a lot of the medical problems, they don't have a lot of choice because they need to get it taken care of.
Right. So the other problem we have, part of my pillars of MAHA, is affordable access to primary care. If you think about 7 chronic diseases, they drive 90% of the spend on health care. You know, think about heart disease, hypertension, obesity, diabetes, Alzheimer's.
All by the way, if we gave free Zepbound and those other drugs to bring people's weight down, because people, a lot of people don't want to be overweight, which leads to diabetes and heart problems. I mean, even that might be a good idea. Let people, instead of charging $1,000 a month.
I'm not going to go there
for
free drugs for everybody.
I'm not a doctor. I just imitate one on TV.
I'd rather address the true root of the problem, that we have a nutrition problem in this country, we have a lifestyle problem in this country, that it's a combination of poor nutrition, exposure to toxins, which is driving this healthcare dilemma.
I agree with you on that, but the problem is that we're not going to change eating habits overnight. It's going to take a long time. I mean, all the nutrition problems, because a lot of people don't have a lot of money that they need to go to get fast food instead of getting it someplace else. They just do. We have the immediate problem with healthcare, though, right now. People need healthcare right now, even if they dream of being healthy 10 years from now.
Okay, so let's go back to our fixes for healthcare prices. The cost of healthcare. Anything that makes healthcare more transparent, that promotes innovation, that turns patients back into consumers. We need more competition, not less. We talked about our transparency bill. And then I think we should talk about healthcare savings accounts, expanding them, allowing patients to use those money to pay for direct primary care, where one doctor managing a group of patients for a set amount of money. We got other solutions out there as well, but those would be, I think, the signature bills. More transparency, more HSAs.
All right, I dragged you into another issue. I'm sorry, because I brought you here to talk about what's going on here. Is there any negotiation going on in the Senate right now between Republicans and Democrats about the shutdown in the Senate?
Yeah, the negotiation is going on in the Appropriations Committee.
Right now, today.
Yeah, I would suppose so. It's hard for me to say day to day, but I know that Senator Susan Collins and her Appropriations Committee is working their tails off. That they
but
have.
They've either got to accept that continuing resolution or not.
But I think if they would give us the 2 months, Senator Collins can finish the job. She has 90% of the funding done. Chuck Schumer wants to go in a back closet, negotiate the deal with himself and President Trump. We want to do it openly. We want to do it through the Appropriations Committee. We want to bring it to the floor. That's where the negotiation should be happening on the spending bill.
Could that be accomplished by November 21st, which is what the continuing resolution, because all the negotiations could have probably been done before September 30th when we shut down. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, people didn't do their homework before the 30th, so now we need a little, extra grace period.
So we've went at record speed. For decades, we've never went this fast. That 90% of the funding is done in Appropriations Committee. 3 of those bills are past the finish line on the floor. So yes, we could bring them to the floor, but the ones that are not brought to the floor because Chuck Schumer's being an obstructionist. He wants to slow down this America First agenda, and this is one more way he can do it. And of course, he has his marching orders. Do whatever you can to obstruct President Trump.
His marching orders from AOC?
You bet. AOC, the Squad, and don't forget the liberal left media.
Wow. Anyway, well, we'll be watching. Senator, thank you very much. Nice to see you, sir.
Thank you.
Coming up, Jews are killed on the holiest day of the Jewish year. We're going to tell you where when the record continues.
Stressed and fatigued? Brain feeling foggy? Don't have the energy you used to? It may be your liver. You must protect your body's most precious asset. Best-selling author and surgeon Dr. Russell Blaylock has developed natural solutions. His breakthrough new book, The Liver Cure, will help you boost energy, detoxify your body, clear brain fog, and reignite your metabolism. Improve your health and quality of life. Get The Liver Cure today.
America's foundational principles are based on Judeo-Christian values.
Genesis 12:3, when it comes to support Israel, He says, I'll make out of you a great nation, and I'll bless you, and I'll bless all the families through you.
Judaism is the root. Paul tells us that in Romans chapter 12. That's how we as Christians know that our covenant with God is grafted into the root.
Anti-Semitism is on the rise. My engagement with the Jewish people is showing my solidarity. I feel the battle that you fight just for existence.
Knowing that we have people in the Christian community that actually love us, it's a soothing balm to the entire Jewish world.
Tell the Jewish people in Israel and around the world that Christians in America stand with them. Through our prayers and by taking action to stand with Israel, we can save lives. You can be part of this historic movement of bringing light to our world. Learn more by going to ifcj.org today.
Growing up, my parents always said, you gotta work hard. You gotta eat your fruit. You gotta eat your vegetables. So I'm doing my best every day. And Balance of Nature is a wholesome product, and I'll always take it. And I would recommend it to anybody.
Get 35% off your first set as a preferred customer. Claim this offer by using discount code Newsmax.
The absolute unthinkable. A brazen terror attack as Jews were marking the holiest day of Yom Kippur. Earlier today at a synagogue in the United Kingdom, a person rammed his car into worshipers. Then the attacker jumped out of his car. Then he went on a stabbing spree. 2 people were killed. The victims were Jewish. Police say 4 people remain in the hospital with serious injuries. This act of terrorism occurred in Manchester, which is a major city in northwest England. The synagogue is Heaton Park and is an Orthodox Jewish synagogue. Manchester police say officers shot and killed the attacker. The deadly rampage is putting synagogues here in America on alert. The New York Police Department says it is following the incident in England. The NYPD also says it has beefed up patrols at synagogues today for Yom Kippur. For more on what happened in the UK, foreign correspondent Olly Barratt joins me. Olly?
Greta, I join you from Manchester, just a few hundred yards from the synagogue in Crampspool, which was attacked earlier. You may be able to see a police cordon in place behind me. There is a very heavy, visible policing presence on the streets of Manchester tonight, as you would expect. Now, I can bring you some breaking news. Just in the last few moments, Greta, British police have named the suspected attacker who, as you say, they shot dead earlier, a little way from where I'm standing now. Greater Manchester Police believe the person responsible for this attack was 35-year-old Jihad al-Shami. They say he is a British citizen of Syrian descent, although they say that their formal identification is yet to take place. One other piece of breaking news we've just heard from police. They say that 3 other suspects are currently in custody. They've been arrested, police say, on suspicion of commission, preparation and instigation of acts of terrorism. 2 men in their 30s and a woman in her 60s. So that leads you to believe that police think that either there were accomplices to this crime or their investigations into this attack have led them to make those further arrests for perhaps linked reasons. The community here, the Jewish community here in Manchester, one of the biggest in the UK, is in shock tonight. Many Jewish people here have been saying to me that this is an attack they feared would come because of rising anti-Semitism in this country. Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, has been chairing an emergency so-called Cobra meeting this evening with his top ministers, his top policing chiefs as well. Police are very much treating this as a terrorist incident, and Keir Starmer himself has been visiting, Greta, a synagogue in London with his wife, Victoria Starmer, this evening, who is also Jewish herself. Greta.
Olly Barratt in Manchester. Thank you, Olly. This week, the NFL revealed Bad Bunny will be performing at the Super Bowl. Why might you be interested? Well, Bad Bunny is an artist from Puerto Rico, and he has been on a world tour. But note he did not schedule any shows here in the U.S. Why? He says he was worried about ICE raids. In a recent interview, he said, quote, ICE could be outside, and it's something that we were talking about and very concerned about. The Trump administration is responding. Trump's senior political advisor, Corey Lewandowski, said this on the Benny Johnson Show.
There is nowhere that you can provide safe haven to people who are in this country illegally, not the Super Bowl and nowhere else. We will find you, we will apprehend you, we will put you in a detention facility, and we will deport you. It's so shameful that they've decided to pick somebody who just seems to hate America so much to represent them at the halftime game. If there are illegal aliens, I don't care if it's a concert for Johnny Smith or Bad Bunny or anybody else, we're going to do enforcement everywhere because we're going to make Americans safe. That is a directive from the president. And if you're in this country illegally, do yourself a favor, go home.
Super Bowl 60 is on February 8th. It's at Levi Stadium in California. That is the home to the San Francisco 49ers. Coming up, day 2 of the government shutdown. That when the record continues.
You know that rule, Mr. Payne.
He was America's everyman, honest and courageous, a war hero who captivated moviegoers. Look at the life of this legendary star. Watch Jimmy Stewart, A Wonderful American Life.
Humana Medicare Advantage plans. Carry this card, and you could have the power to get benefits beyond original Medicare. These are convenient plans that offer all of the benefits of original Medicare, plus extra coverage and benefits. With a Humana Medicare Advantage plan, you could get doctor, hospital, and prescription drug coverage in one convenient plan, with $0 copays on hundreds of prescriptions. All plans include dental coverage, including $0 copays for covered preventive services, vision coverage with eye exams, and an allowance to use towards eyewear, and hearing benefits with routine hearing exams and coverage toward hearing aids. That's more than you get with original Medicare. But it gets even better because Humana offers plans with $0 or low monthly plan premiums. You may also get $0 copays for routine vaccines at in-network retail pharmacies, $0 copays for in-network primary care visits, and $0 copays for in-network preventive services. Plus, worldwide coverage for emergency and urgent care when you travel. And Medicare Advantage plans ensure your covered medical costs, including doctor and emergency care, will never go above a maximum out-of-pocket amount that you know beforehand. Imagine benefits like these in one convenient plan. Plus, you'll have access to Humana's multiple large plan networks of doctors, hospitals, and pharmacies. So if you want more from Medicare, call or scan the QR code now to see if there's a plan in your area that could give you extra coverage and benefits, including coverage for doctor, hospital, and prescription drugs, plus a cap on your out-of-pocket medical costs. And all plans include coverage for dental, vision, and hearing. A knowledgeable, licensed Humana sales agent will explain your coverage options, even help you enroll over the phone. Call today, but now is the time. The annual enrollment period ends December 7th. Humana, a more human way to healthcare.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, with my wife Shirley, who is 82. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno 150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the 2 videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
At Lumber Liquidators, we have the best prices on flooring, and we guarantee it. Find a lower price, we will beat it with our best price guarantee. We have over 200 stores nationwide. Find yours at lumberliquidators.com. Tell them Tom sent you.
A disturbing new survey finds that 1/3 of Americans see violence as the answer to getting the country back on track. This week, an NPR PBS Marist poll showed 30% of respondents strongly agree that Americans may have to resort to violence. Why? To steer the country in the right direction. Now, that number is up 11 points from 19% last year. The silver lining in this concerning cloud, most Americans, 70%, say violence is not the answer. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle blame the other for today's political discourse. In September, another poll found 7 in 10 voters believe that the United States is facing a crisis following the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, government shutdowns, they're not new, and neither is the blame game. Both sides see it as political poison, so Republicans and Democrats do their very best to keep their hands clean. Our current shutdown is in day 2, but throughout history, some government shutdowns have lasted weeks, and neither side comes out unscathed. The longest shutdown lasted 34 days. That was in 2018 during President Trump's first term. During the Clinton administration in 1995 was the second longest shutdown. It lasted 21 days. In 2013, President Obama presided over a 16-day shutdown. Throughout Ronald Reagan's presidency, there were numerous shutdowns, but none lasted longer than 3 days. Under Jimmy Carter, there were 5 shutdowns. The longest shutdown was in 1978, and that was 17 days long. CPAC Chairman Matt Schlapp is here, and former Special Assistant to President Biden and former Press Secretary of the First Lady, Michael LaRosa, joins me. Michael, first to you, and both of you work inside. So tell me the political impact on this. Who's going to get scarred with this, Mike?
You know, I think my honest opinion is that both sides, neither of their hands are clean when it comes to this. I think the Democrats might have a weaker hand only because the enhanced ACA subsidies that they're fighting for technically don't expire until the end of the year. So in theory, they could vote for that clean CR that the House has passed.
And then have the fight on November 21st.
And have the fight later, but have time to negotiate. Now, this was a COVID-enhanced subsidy, so it was never meant to be permanent.
So we're not in COVID.
But they have to make that argument. And the other thing is, Greta, is that on top of losing that subsidy, plus the Medicaid cuts that will eventually come in 2027, plus the rural hospitals that are closing, and the premiums that the healthcare industry had already announced were going to be rising, it would be in the Republicans' best interest to sit down and negotiate with Democrats.
Matt.
So the Democrats want this fight. They think this disrupts Trump's amazing momentum. As I've said on your show before, I've never seen a modern politician wield more power than Donald Trump has after his resurrection and return to the White House. So, like, they're trying to, they usually win. I was looking at your screen as you opened up because in the end, I don't think anybody remembers shutdowns. I don't even remember most of those shutdowns. So, like, whoever wins, whoever loses, it doesn't really have long-term consequences. But the Democrats believe they tend to win these skirmishes, right? And so they're picking up something that's easy, which is health care, right? You're going to make health care more expensive, Donald Trump and Mike Johnson. So what does Trump do, which I thought was masterful? He has a massive press conferences about how we've gotten Pfizer and others to reduce drug prices, which reduces prices.
You think that was deliberate timing?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I think it was smart. I think it was strategic. In the end of the day, the government's going to open up again. President Trump now realizes that these types of battles he doesn't have to shy away from, and I think that's good for our party.
What's this? I'm intrigued by the influence, or all the chatter at least, about Congresswoman AOC and how she wields so much power. Does she wield a lot of power?
No.
No?
Mathematically.
Which is that the media loves to talk about her?
Yeah, of course. The media loves to talk about people who are provocative, but they're not talking about sort of the rank and file Democrats who are really on the front lines of making deals. And usually those are the more pro-business New Democrats or more moderate Democrats who are on the front lines of actually making deals, because those are the districts that are much more purple and much more representative of the country than Queens or the Bronx.
So the problem for his party, I think, is that the moderates don't have much of a voice. Yeah. The problem in my party is the moderates have too big of a voice. The problem with our donors is our major donors tend to be more moderate. Mm-hmm. Your donors tend to be crazy left.
No, that's not true. There are grassroots donors who are very far left and activists.
Donors.
Yeah, correct. Sure. But the vast majority of wealthy, high-dollar donors of the Democratic Party are from the finance sector, from the business sector, the tech sector.
Are they still giving? Are they still giving the high? I mean, because when you look at the economy and you look, I mean, like, I was shocked that the market is still going well in the last 2 days.
Really well.
Yeah, it didn't. This government shutdown didn't shake their confidence.
No, it's not. But I would just say the Republicans have for the entire year expressed their confidence that they've had this. They were given this mandate, even though they really didn't win the election by very much, and certainly didn't get the most votes. Joe Biden still got the most votes in history.
Joe Biden got more votes than Barack Obama, even in African-American precincts. It's very weird.
Joe Biden did get 80 million votes. 81 million, and he won with 51% of the vote. Donald Trump has never gotten 50% yet in his 3 elections, not once. So
in his 3 victories, it's weird.
It's very weird that he has not been able to rally half of the country to his side, but whatever. The point is, they've said they have a mandate. Well, not my clowns, not my circus. The Democrats can take that approach if they want. If the Republicans feel they have a mandate, keep the government open.
We do. There's no question we have a mandate. If the election laws in the states, which are governed by the states, if they were the same as they were in 1988, there's no question Donald Trump would have won with landslide proportions.
Are we relitigating 2020?
His resurrection.
How do we get back to 2020?
Well, no,
7 million votes. It was the 9th closest election in history.
Is, as I said, that's because state laws like in California, New York, have become crazy. But the point is, why aren't the markets more jittery?
Yeah, why aren't the markets jittery?
It's a real easy answer. When Ronald Reagan had the government closed down about 8 times in 8 years. They always fought over spending. That was something he thought the Republicans should do, is fight over spending. 80% of the government was shut down when you had a shutdown. That's why they only lasted like 3 days, because it was almost everything. Do you know how much of the government shuts down today? About 20%. Everything's on autopilot. Everything's mandatory spending.
Yeah,
the paychecks go out. The Social Security checks go out. So the pain threshold is more of a faux threshold.
Well, no, I mean, there's also, it's a real political pain. I mean, you've got Hakeem Jeffries and Schumer both being the respective leaders in the House and the Senate, and New York City's getting hit pretty hard. There, so I mean, all the things that we shut down and all the money that won't be distributed is going to hit Democratic areas politically.
So like Maryland, the governor was on the radio talking about how like 17% of the revenue into the state of Maryland is affected by the shutdown. So you're right, blue states, areas around the swamp.
But it's also deliberate, because the President Trump and the OMB director are going to pick and choose what gets done. And as they
that's part of having power, right?
Well, that's right. I think it was Obama who said to either John McCain or Rahm. I think it was John McCain is winning counts or something. But I mean,
no, absolutely. How you use and exert executive authority and use that power, how Trump has done it, is impressive. I wish Democrats would use power the way he does.
Obama used power that way.
But I remember the Supreme Court seat that he didn't get. He didn't really use power at all.
But the thing though that's happened is that Trump wanted to reduce the government, and he brought in Elon Musk and to cut everything.
Doge.
And now this shutdown is a license for Trump to do a lot of things that he couldn't otherwise do. So the Democrats sort of shot themselves in the foot on this.
And that's part of that is why Schumer voted to keep the government open responsibly in March. And that's the problem now that Democrats are going to run into, is how can you be a champion for the federal workforce when Doge cuts are taking place? But now when President Trump can make the Doge cuts look like child's play in 1 week, and the Democrats are kind of, if they really care about federal workforce, they're going to come out and vote for a CR. By the way, this is the Biden budget. This is the Biden spending levels.
That's the other problem the Democrats have.
That's the problem the Democrats have.
And all this COVID funding, which is example of the subsidies they want to give on Obamacare. This COVID funding is still baked into this cake. Right? We never took it back out. So Republicans have a real good point to say you don't want to enhance the current levels of spending.
Matt Schlapp, Michael LaRosa, thank you both. And wait until you hear this one. Oh, brother, better sit down. Delta Airlines has another collision, but not with just one of their planes, but 2 of their planes. It happened yesterday at New York's LaGuardia Airport. At least they were not in the air at the time of the collision, but on the taxiway, which of course also could be fatal, but it was not. One Delta plane was preparing to depart when its wing clipped the fuselage of the arriving Delta plane. According to Delta, the low-speed collision tore off part of the wing of the outbound plane. One flight attendant was treated for a minor injury. No passengers were hurt. It's still not clear who is at fault, but obviously someone is. Right before the collision, air traffic control had instructed the departing flight to yield to the arriving plane. Coming up, stopped in their tracks. Who? That one, the record continues.
Folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.
Here's some information about replacing windows and doors that just may surprise you. I'm Brian Gary. I'm here with Brian Price from Renewal by Anderson.
Hey Brian, homeowners always ask, my windows aren't even 10 years old. Why do I have to replace them? But if they aren't quality windows, they may not last.
Some builders put money into kitchens and bathrooms and cheap out on the windows. I see it all the time. But your reputation for quality is unheard of in this industry.
Well, thanks, Brian. We've been the full-service replacement window division of Andersen for 30 years. So when people don't want to mess around and they want quality, they call us.
What can you say about your certified master installers?
Well, a new window or door is only going to last if it's installed properly. Renewal by Andersen installers go through intense classroom and field training programs. Many of them have installed thousands of windows. I mean, talk about mastering something.
If the homeowner has an issue and has to chase down different contractors and companies, they get stuck in the blame game, and that's the worst.
Right. The manufacturer points to the installer points to the manufacturer. With us, there's no blame game or finger pointing because we manage the whole process.
What we don't have here at Renewal by Andersen are salespeople. Instead, we have design consultants. Now that's a breath of fresh air. Our design consultants are seasoned professionals. They're trained to inspect your windows and doors and point out how to save money on your energy bills. Would you like help with design? We can show you colors and styles that are just right for your home. And the cherry on top, it's all free.
Before October 31st, save $400 on every window and save $850 on every patio door and entry door with no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for 12 months. This offer ends October 31st. For a free appointment, call 1-800-514-3600. That's 1-800-514-3600.
Hello, everyone. It's President Donald J. Trump, and it's Trump time. Check out this red beauty. It's one of my new watches. Wear it proudly on your wrist, and everyone will know exactly what it's for, who it represents. It's really going to be something special. It's for your favorite president. Get your watch today at gettrumpwatches.com. These make a great gift. It's Trump time.
Are you or a loved one a military veteran that has been diagnosed with mesothelioma? Do you have questions about getting the best treatment or paying medical bills? Have you received the proper care and compensation you deserve? Let our firm serve you with the same dedication you served your country. We are exclusively devoted to helping those with mesothelioma. Call now to get this free book, and we'll answer any question you have. We'll even visit you.
Call 800-555-8958 or go to mesobook.com.
At Balsam Hill, we're crafting joy early this year. For a limited time, save up to 30% off on our beautifully designed lifelike Christmas trees, now made with more sustainable materials. Jumpstart the season and find your holiday spirit early this year at balsamhill.com.
Blocked. A group of boats trying to get to Gaza had no luck. Yesterday, we showed you the live video of a flotilla that was trying to break Israel's blockade so they could deliver aid to Gaza. But Israel, as it has done before to a similar flotilla, intercepted the vessels. Dozens on board were detained. Middle East correspondent Zach Anders joins me from Tel Aviv. Zach?
Greta, we've learned from Israeli authorities the saga lasted 12 hours. They intercepted 41 vessels in total in what was called the Global Samud Flotilla. That's an Arabic word for steadfast or resilience. As many as 500 activists participated in this. The Israeli Foreign Ministry tells me that they were safely stopped around 70 nautical miles off the Gazan coastline and without major incident. And as we were talking last night, Greta, that's quite remarkable because as we were watching live as this was taking place, that was not a sure deal. With 500 people, the open water, it was a concerning moment. Now, the Israeli Foreign Ministry tells me that all involved are in an Israeli port, a holding facility, and they're being processed for deportation. This attempt to break the Israeli naval blockade around Gaza, it gained a massive following around the world, and several of the boats live streamed throughout the night. Up until that moment, each vessel was boarded. The Israeli Navy says they boarded the largest vessels first, then moved on to the smaller sailboats. The Israeli Navy had informed the flotilla they were approaching what they call lawful naval blockade in an active combat zone and commanded the vessels to change their course. At one point, using water cannons as these vessels were refusing to turn around. On board were lawyers, doctors, European politicians, social media activists, and prominent activist Greta Thunberg. She was the first activist on that first activist sailboat that was stopped back in June. She joined the second flotilla attempt again. Her social media team releasing this pre-recorded message once it was clear she had been stopped. Take a listen.
My name is Greta Thunberg. I'm a citizen of Sweden. If you are watching this video, I have been abducted and taken against my will by Israeli forces. Our humanitarian mission was non-violent and abiding by international law. Please tell my government to demand my and the others' immediate release.
And again, Israeli authorities tell me that Greta is fine. She's going to be given a flight back to where her home country or wherever they decide to give her a flight to, just like the last time that she came out here in June, probably held for the next 1 or 2 days. The Israeli Foreign Ministry tells me that none of the vessels made it through the blockade. They were towed to an Israeli port. There's now some question as to what they're going to do with the boats, but they do say they're pulling the aid off of the boats, screening it, and that the plan is to eventually take the medicine and the baby formula and different supplies that they brought and bring that inside the Gaza Strip. Tonight, Israel says that, quote, all passengers are safe and in good health, and, quote, none of the Hamas Samud provocation yachts have succeeded in their attempt to enter an active combat zone or breach the lawful naval blockade. The accusation that Israel has leveraged is that some of the members of the 500 people on this flotilla have ties to Hamas. That's not something that we have been able to flesh out because we don't know all of the names of all involved on this boat just yet. And the Israeli authorities have not given us any names of the people they believe are tied to Hamas that they detained here. That's something we'll probably learn in the coming days. Hamas, for their part, have released a statement today. They called, quote, on all defenders of freedom to denounce Israel for stopping the boats. But Greta, as you know, that is not the Hamas statement we have all of our notifications on for that we're waiting for. We're waiting to see if Hamas is going to accept or deny this U.S.-led peace proposal. The president's window of time for the terror group is really getting strained here. On Tuesday, President Trump said they had 3 to 4 days. We're entering into that window now where Hamas still has not accepted the deal. They've been telling several Arab sources that they are still reviewing the proposal, but they will ultimately demand changes. Some changes be made to the deal before Hamas will find it acceptable. So that's where we stand tonight. Greta?
Zach Anders in Tel Aviv, thank you. And there are new questions about United States involvement in the Middle East. This week, President Trump signed an executive order related to Qatar. The order says, quote, the United States shall regard any armed attack on the territory, sovereignty, or critical infrastructure of the state of Qatar as a threat to the peace and security of the United States. The order goes on to say, in the event of such an attack, the United States shall take all lawful and appropriate measures, including diplomatic, economic, and, if necessary, military, to defend the interests of the United States and of the state of Qatar. Now, the order comes nearly a month after Israel bombed Qatar. Israel said it was targeting Hamas leaders inside Qatar. 3 days ago at the White House, you're going to remember that President Trump met with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and after that meeting between the president and the prime minister, the White House said Netanyahu apologized for the strike in Qatar. The White House also said that Netanyahu promised this would not happen again. Coming up, one driver gets busted going 107 miles per hour down a major highway, and wait to hear his reason for speeding. That video when the record continues.
Nature made fruits and vegetables whole for a reason. When you isolate nutrients, you lose the teamwork that makes them powerful. At Balance of Nature, we prepare and freeze-dry the produce to help preserve it just as nature made it. Every apple, carrot, and broccoli is packed with thousands of phytonutrients, plant nutrients that give them color, taste, smell, and the stuff your body wants. That way, you're not getting isolated parts. You're experiencing the full range of naturally occurring phytonutrients.
Nearly home. Whodunit?
We're looking for a house closer to everything, but we don't know where to start.
Find it with Realtor.com. With Real Commute, it's easy to find a home closer to what's ever close to your heart. Do y'all recycle? Realtor.com.
My employees and I want to thank all of you at Newsmax for your continued support of MyPillow. It's because of you and the grace of God that we're making it through. And to thank you, we're bringing you the best offers ever. Get our MyPillow bed sheets, only $29.88. Any color, any style, any size, even kings, regularly $119.98, now only $29.88. Our My Towels are finally back in stock. Get a 6-piece My Towel set, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. Towels that actually work. What a concept. And for the first time and the only time ever, you're going to get our limited edition premium My Pillows. They're made with Giza cotton and a designer gusset. Queen $17.98, King's only $19.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code when you order today. Inventory for these offers are extremely limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, with my wife Shirley, who is 82. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno 150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the 2 videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
President Trump said, "For America to be a great nation, we must always be one nation under God." Show your kids why America's faith matters with the free Kids Guide to Our One Nation Under God. Get it at freegodgift.com. That's freegodgift.com.
Wikipedia, better watch out. A new competitor is coming to town, and not just any competitor. It is tech billionaire Elon Musk. He has announced he is building Grokpedia. It is an AI-powered alternative to Wikipedia. Grokpedia will be powered by the Grok AI chatbot. It will use artificial intelligence to automatically correct errors and help ensure content is accurate and factual. According to Musk, this is a, quote, necessary step towards the XAI goal of understanding the universe, end quote. Grokpedia will be available to the public with no limits on use. And in more Elon Musk news, according to Forbes Billionaire Index, Musk has just become the first person in history to achieve a net worth of $500 billion. This milestone is tied closely to his 12% stake in Tesla. So far this year, Tesla stock is up about 8%. Meanwhile, a driver in Florida was clocked doing 107 miles per hour down a major highway in Palm Coast. Why was he going so fast? Well, it turns out he had a hair appointment.
Reason for the stop, we're going 107. Weaving in and out of traffic. Why are you going so fast?
I have an appointment with my barber.
You have an appointment with your barber?
In New Smyrna.
In New Smyrna, so...
But, you know, the car's got a coach on.
So you go 107 miles an hour.
I'm sorry.
Weaving in and out of traffic, putting other people's lives in danger. Now you get to go to jail for the night.
For the night?
For the night, yeah. You know, Florida, it's criminal to go over 100 miles an hour.
I did it.
Well, you do now, right?
Oh, well, poor guy. A quick shout out, too, to our friends watching us in Matutin, Massachusetts. We have an eye spotted from Sarah M. She saw this show, The Record, playing at Yalla Grill. So thanks for watching, Sarah. We really appreciate it. And coming up, one first responder gets outsmarted by a fugitive who is just a fraction of his size. That when The Record continues.
My allergic itch was a growing problem for me and my human. Then the vet gave me Apoquel. It works at the source and starts relieving itch in as fast as 4 hours.
May cause worsening of existing parasitic skin infestations, serious infections, or pre-existing cancers. New neoplasias have been observed. Do not use in dogs under 12 months of age with serious infections or in breeding, pregnant, or lactating dogs.
Big or little itch, ask for Apoquel. Apoquel.
derriere, caboose, booty, badunkadunk. No matter what you call it, if you have hemorrhoids, your tushy is no laughing matter. So don't use a cream that treats your rear end like a joke. Get serious relief with Recticare Advanced Hemorrhoidal Cream. Recticare Advanced is seriously effective with 2 powerful medicines for rapid dual-action relief, soothing the uncomfortable swelling, itching, and pain of your hemorrhoids. For serious hemorrhoid relief for your buns, get Recticare Advanced.
Have you compared your Medicare plan recently? With eHealth, you can compare Medicare plans side by side for free. So we invited people to give eHealth a try and discover how easy it can be to find your Medicare match.
This is pretty amazing.
I can go on a vacation with this money.
I have quite a few prescriptions.
That's why people call us. We're going to compare plans, and I'm going to try to get you as much bang for your buck as possible.
That's great.
This one here covers all your prescriptions, your doctors as well.
Oh, wonderful.
I have a hard time with this.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for. Based on our conversation today, I would highly recommend this plan.
You're so helpful. You don't know.
I'm excited for you, sir. Again, my name is Cham. If you have any other questions, give me a ring.
Thank you very much. Oh my God, that was super easy.
See how your Medicare plan stacks up with the big changes for 2026. Just call this number or get started at eHealth.com. Compare plans that cover your doctors, prescriptions, pharmacy, and budget. And compare plans from the nation's top insurance companies. They pay us to help you. How much do you think you'll be able to save using eHealth?
At least $300 a month.
Would you say you found your Medicare match?
Yes, I did. What Cham did, she explained to me exactly what I need to know.
Well, I have a surprise for you. Cham, come on out.
Oh my goodness.
It's a pleasure to meet you today, sir.
What does it feel like to be face to face?
You helped me out quite a bit.
Call to meet your advisor. They're paid the same no matter which Medicare Advantage plan you choose. Ask them about eHealth Live Advise or get started on your own at eHealth.com. Either way, it's always a free service. See if you could get more for less with eHealth, like these folks did.
The savings are unbelievable. I could see the costs side by side.
eHealth is wonderful. $1,200 savings in my pocket. I was really pleasantly surprised with that.
Call 1-800-708-0234 to compare Medicare plans in your area or visit eHealth.com.
eHealth, your Medicare matchmaker.
Sponsored by Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, the health of fresh food with the convenience of kibble. Visit drmartypets.com/TV.
How does the world's most trusted dog expert keep his own dog so healthy?
Hi, I am Cesar Milan. In my 20 years rehabilitating dogs, I've seen too many struggle with health problems that no amount of training could fix. Then I discovered it wasn't the dog, it was their food. Fortunately, I found veterinarian Dr. Marty's anti-kibble breakthrough.
Nature's Blend is packed with whole foods that are freeze-dried, locking in nutrients.
I saw remarkable improvements in my dogs within weeks.
Try Dr. Marty risk-free for 90 days. Plus, get a free gift when you call or visit drmartypets.com/Caesar.
I'm sure you would not like to be sent on a wild goose chase, but how about a wild rabbit chase? In Indiana, one firefighter got the call he never expected. While the firefighter could not catch the rabbit, he was able to lift the poor rabbit to freedom. The Chris Salcedo Show is up next. Have a great evening. Stay with Newsmax.